Hello everyone, and welcome to this new video in which we will continue discussing the simple sentence or the one closed sentence. But in this video we will discuss a new element that is added to the one closed sentence, which is the past participle. Okay, so what is past participle? So as you can see, the past participle is verb 3, generally formed with the addition of ed to it, to the main verb, okay, such as played, walked, and sometimes we may have irregular past participles such as written. Fine. Now if we go back to grammar, where is the past participle used? So the past participle is used in grammar in order to form the perfect tense, whether it is past perfect or present perfect or future perfect, and also it's used to form the passive voice. But the question is that to form the perfect or the passive voice, does the past participle come alone? Sure, the answer is no. So to form the passive voice or the perfect tense, we need a sort of a helping verb to come with the past participle in order to form the perfect tense or the passive voice. And merely what accompany the past participle to form these two verbs, okay, the perfect and the passive voice, is verb to be in order to form the passive voice, and verb to have in order to form the perfect tense. Okay, now let's have these two examples. Let's start with the first one. The student has read 3 stories. As you can see, the student here is the subject. Then we have has read. Okay, has read. Now, has read is the verb. Now, this verb consists of 2 parts, which is the past participle, read, and the verb to have, okay, which is has in this case. Now, here in this case, read is not the verb, it is part of the verb, okay, because it comes accompanying the verb to have. Okay, so in this case, read is called a past participle as a part of the verb. So please remember, read here is not the verb, it is part of the verb. The verb as a whole is has read. Okay, has read is the verb, and read alone is past participle, part of the verb. Fine, so has read is the verb. Now, in the second example, the TV was purchased from the store yesterday. Now, here in this case, we have was purchased, which is the verb. Now, this verb also contains two parts. Okay, was purchased. Here we have purchased and was, the verb to be. And here, remember, it is a passive voice sentence. Now, purchased here is a past participle. Also, it is like read in the first example. It is part of the verb. It's not the verb. Why? Because here it comes accompanying the verb to be, was. So in this case, purchased is called a past participle as a part of the verb, and the whole verb is was purchased. Okay, so in the exam you will be asked about this. For example, purchased will come for you in the exam underlined, and we will ask you the underlined part is, and in this case it should be past participle as a part of the verb. Okay, now as you can see in the 2 previous examples, here we have the past participle coming with a verb to be or a verb to have. But in some cases we may have the past participle coming alone. So in this case it is what? For example, the letter written today was very long. Here in this case we can have the past participle written, okay, alone. It doesn't come with a verb to have or any sort of verb to be. So in this case, remember, it is not a verb. Okay, to be a verb, it should be accompanied with a verb to have or a verb to be. Here in this case, since it comes alone, it is an adjective. Okay, it is an adjective that comes to describe the subject or the noun before. Okay, so the letter written today. So in order to consider the sentence correct, we should continue reading the sentence in order to have a verb, because remember in the first skill we said that the sentence, in order to be correct, should have at least one subject and one verb. So till here the sentence is not correct because it lacks a verb. So we should continue reading the sentence and we should have a verb. And here the verb comes here, was. Okay, so the letter written today was very long. So here written is an adjective since it is not accompanied by verb to have or a verb to be. Okay, so it is an adjective and we should continue reading the sentence to have a verb. Fine. Now look at this sentence. The letter is written today was very long. Okay, now here is written. Here we have the past participle, which is written, and as you can see it is accompanied with verb to be, which is. So in this case is written is a verb. Also we should continue reading the sentence in order to make sure that there is no verb, extra verb, which makes the sentence incorrect. Now when we continue reading the sentence we can find another verb, which is was. So here we have an extra verb, two verbs. Okay, is written, was, and this violates the rule that we discussed in the first skill, that the sentence should have one subject and one verb. Here we have two verbs. Okay, so immediately the sentence is incorrect. Fine. And in this case, to correct the sentence, to make it correct, simply you can omit the verb to be, making this an adjective. Okay, making this an adjective, and thus the sentence will have only one verb, which is was. Okay, now please pay attention. Now as you can see, when the ed form or the past participle comes alone, it is an adjective. Okay, it is not a verb. But please pay attention. Sometimes the ed forms, when coming alone, they are not adjectives. Okay, they are not adjectives. For example, my father received a letter. Here received is an ed form. It comes alone. We didn't have a verb to be or a verb to have with it. But the question is it an adjective describing the noun before? No, here it is not an adjective, though it comes without a verb to be or a verb to have. Here in this case, this is a simple past. It is verb 2. Okay, it's not verb 3. It's not the topic of the of our skill. Okay, the topic that you are discussing. This is simple past. Okay, fine. Now compare this sentence, my father received a letter, with the second sentence, the letter received was from my brother. Okay, here received, also an ed form, coming alone without a verb to be or a verb to have. But in this case it is an adjective. Okay, it is an adjective. Fine. Now the big question, how can we distinguish between these two cases? The answer is simple. Now when the ed form, okay, describes the noun before, it is an adjective. Okay, when the ed form describes the noun coming before, it is an adjective. Or if you wish, if the subject is the thing upon which the action happened, it is an adjective. For this, the letter here receives the action. The letter received was from my brother. Okay, so the letter here received the action. So received is the adjective describing the letter. While look at the first sentence here. My father received the letter. So my father, the subject, is the one who did the action. Okay, my father is the one who received. So the action is done by my father. Okay, so the action here is done by my father. So in this way we can distinguish when it is a simple past or when it is a past participle as an adjective. So you need to depend on the meaning. Okay, so if the subject is doing the action, so the ed form here is the simple past. It is verb 2. While if the subject is a thing or something that received the action, or the action happened on this noun, okay, or on this thing, so in this case it is an adjective. Fine. Now let's have this example, and you can find it in in your book or in the PDF found here on Moodle. Now, the packages mailed at the post office will arrive Monday. Fine. Now let's analyze our sentence. Now, the packages here is the subject. Now, mailed, as you can see, this is an ed form and it comes alone. Is it a part of the verb? It is an adjective. Up to this point, we cannot decide. We need to continue reading the sentence. So, let's continue. At the post office, this is a prepositional phrase, will arrive. So this is the verb. So our sentence contains a subject and a verb. So the two main elements of the sentence are found. So what do we need then here in this space here? Here we need something that fills the gap. Okay, that fills the gap. But this thing should not be a subject or a verb. Fine. Now let's analyze and let's eliminate the four choices. Okay. Now if we put have, here we will be having two verbs. The packages have mailed will arrive. So here we will have two verbs. Okay. So this is a wrong answer or a wrong choice. The same is with were. The packages were mailed will arrive. Also here we will have extra verb. So this is a wrong choice. Now, regarding C, the packages them mailed. Okay, this is incorrect. Okay, the form of this pronoun is incorrect. Okay, this is an object pronoun. Here we need a subject pronoun at least to think of the sentence to be correct. So here the form of the pronoun is incorrect. So we are left with just then. Okay, so just is an adverb and it continues and it completes the sentence and it is not a subject nor a verb. So the packages just mailed at the post office will arrive Monday. Okay, so you need to read the sentences carefully. You need to analyze the sentences carefully. Okay, now let's do the exercise together. Okay, now before the exercise, let's have a look at those three examples. Now, she painted the picture. Here, painted is an ed form coming alone. Now, we need to think whether it is a simple past or an adjective. So, here, it is simple past. It is verb 2. Why? Because she is the doer of the action. Okay? So, the painted is the verb and she is the one who painted the picture. So here it is simple past. Fine. Number 2, she has painted this picture or the picture. Here it's a clear. Okay, it is a clear. Here we have painted accompanied with the verb to has. Okay, the has, which is one of the verbs to have. And here in this case, painted is past participle as a part of the verb, and has painted is the verb. Now, the picture painted by Karen is now in a museum. Here painted comes alone, like in the first sentence. But here it is not a simple past. Okay, here it is an adjective because it describes the picture. And the picture cannot paint, so the picture is not the doer of the action. So in this case, it is past participle as an adjective. And so we need a verb, and the verb comes here, which is. Fine. Now let's do the exercise. Now, the first sentence, the money was offered by the client was not accepted. Fine. Now the money is the subject. Was offered is the verb. Why it is a verb? Because here we have the past participle offered accompanied with verb to be, which is was. So offered is part of the verb, past participle part of the verb. Was offered is the verb. So, as I told you in the video previously, we should continue reading the sentence and we should not find another verb in order to consider the sentence correct. Okay, don't stop reading the sentence here, okay? Because some students in the exam, yes, okay, the money is subject, was offered verb, the sentence is correct. No, please continue reading the sentence. Fine. By the client is prepositional phrase, was not accepted. Here we have accepted, which is past participle, and it comes accompanied with a verb to be, which is was. So here we end up having two verbs. So the sentence is incorrect because it is or it contains an extra verb. So the sentence is incorrect because of the extra verb. Fine. Now let's go to sentence number 2. The car listed in the advertisement had already stalled. Fine. Now the car is the subject, listed, okay, ed alone without verb to be or verb to have, and here it describes the car. Okay, so the car is listed. The car doesn't list. Fine. So the car is not the door, the action to consider listed as simple past. Okay, so it is an adjective. Fine. So we should continue reading the sentence to have another verb. Here, had already stalled. Here we have the verb. Fine. Here we have stalled, which is past participle, and it is accompanied with a verb to have, which is had, and in this case here had stalled is the verb, so the sentence is correct. Fine. Now sentence number 3. The chapters were taught by the professor this morning will be in next week's exam. Fine. Let's analyze the sentence. The chapters is the subject. Were taught is the verb. Why it is a verb? Because here we have taught, which is the past participle, and it comes accompanied with the verb to be were. So in this case, taught is past participle part of the verb, and were taught is the verb. Fine. So don't stop here. You should continue reading. Maybe the sentence contains an extra verb. So let's continue. By the professor, this is a prepositional phrase. This morning, okay, will be. So this is another verb. This is an extra verb, so the sentence is incorrect. Fine, because of the extra verb. Fine, in this case, to make the sentence correct, okay, simply you can omit the verb to be. So in this case, taught will be an adjective, and we will end up having only one verb, which is will be. Fine, now let's go to number 4. The loaves of bread were baked in a brick oven at a low temperature for many hours. Fine. The loaves is the subject of bread. This is prepositional phrase. Were baked. Fine. This is a verb. Why it is a verb? Because we have baked as a past participle, and it is accompanied with a verb to be, which is were. So this is the verb. Were baked as a whole is the verb. So don't stop here. Continue reading the sentence in order to make sure the sentence does not have an extra verb. So in a brick oven, this is a prepositional phrase. At a low temperature, this is another prepositional phrase. For many hours, a third prepositional phrase. So the sentence is correct. Fine. Now number 5. The ports were reached by the sailors were under the control of a foreign nation. Fine. The ports is the subject. Were reached is the verb. Why it is a verb? Yes, it's clear. Because we have reached, past participle, part of the verb, because it is accompanied with were, which is a verb to be. Now, we will continue reading in order to make sure that the sentence doesn't have an extra verb. By the sailors, prepositional phrase, were, so another verb. Fine. So the sentence is incorrect because it contains an extra verb, because of the extra verb. Also here, to make the sentence correct, simply you can omit were, and reached becomes an adjective. Fine. Number 6, those suspected in the string of robberies were arrested by the police. Fine. Let's see. Those is the subject. Suspected, ed alone, okay, without verb to have or verb to be. Here it is an adjective describing those. Okay, fine. So we should continue reading the sentence in order to make sure that it contains a verb. In the string, this is prepositional phrase of robberies, a second prepositional phrase. Were arrested. This is the verb. Okay, and this verb contains arrested, which is a past participle as a part of the verb, and were, which is a verb to be. Okay, and were arrested as a whole is the verb. Okay, by the police is a prepositional phrase, so the sentence is correct. Fine. Number 7. The pizza is served in this restaurant is the tastiest in the county. Fine. The pizza is the subject, is served. Here it is a verb. Why it is a verb? Because it contains served, which is the past participle, and it is accompanied with is, which is a verb to be. So is served is a verb. Thus, we need to continue the whole sentence in order to make sure it doesn't contain another verb. Okay, in this restaurant, this is a prepositional phrase, is, so this is another verb, an extra verb. Okay, so the sentence is incorrect because of the extra verb. Okay, also to make the sentence correct, you can omit the verb to be, is. Okay, and here served becomes an adjective for pizza. Okay, number 8. The courses are listed in the second page of the brochure, have several prerequisites. Fine. The courses is the subject, are listed, this is a verb, and this verb consists of listed, which is the past participle, and it is a part of the verb because it is accompanied with the verb to be are, and here it is a verb. So we should continue reading the sentence in order to make sure that it doesn't contain another verb. And the second page, this is a prepositional phrase of the brochure. This is another prepositional phrase, have. This is another verb. Okay, so the sentence is incorrect because of the extra verb. Okay, and to make the sentence correct, simply you can omit the are, and thus listed becomes an adjective for the courses. Fine. Number 9. All the tenants were invited to the Independence Day barbecue at the apartment complex. Okay, all the tenants, this is the subject, were invited, verb. And how do you know that it is a verb? Because it contains invited, which is past participle, and here it is a part of the verb because it is accompanied with were, which is a verb to be. So continue reading the sentence in order to see that it does not contain another verb, in order to consider it correct. Fine. To the Independence Day, this is a prepositional phrase. At the apartment complex, another prepositional phrase, so the sentence is correct. Fine. Number 10, the last sentence. Any bills, this is the subject, paid. Okay, here this is past participle and it is alone. So we need to make sure that it is not simple past or it is an adjective. Okay, so we need to make sure what is this ed form or this form of the verb. Okay, paid here is an adjective. Why? Because bills receive the action. They are paid. They do not pay. Okay, so bills do not perform this verb, do not perform this action. Fine. So they are paid. So they receive the action. So in this case, this is an adjective. So paid here is a past participle as an adjective. Fine. By the first, this is prepositional phrase of the month. Another prepositional phrase will be credited. So this is the verb. To your account, prepositional phrase. By the next day, another prepositional phrase. So the sentence is correct. Okay? So thank you so much for watching the video, and please always read the sentence carefully and analyze the sentence. See where are the subjects and find the verbs. Make sure that the verb is correct, and make sure that the sentence contains no extra verb. Fine. So please be careful of past participle and see whether they are alone or they come with a verb to be or a verb to have. And another advice, please read the sentence to the end. Okay? Don't read just the subject and the verb at the beginning of the sentence. Always continue the sentence, because the extra verb normally comes then, okay, towards the end of the sentence. So please read the whole sentence. Thank you so much and good luck.